Good afternoon, NuPath Nation. Today is May 6th, and welcome to NuPath Live. My name is Dan Harris, and I'm your host, and very happy to be with you here today. NuPath Live, if you're new, is the opportunity that we take once a week to connect with our stakeholders out, our families, the people we serve, our staff, board members, people that are connected to NuPath in one way or another. This has become an important feature of what we do as an organization and in our commitment to transparency, to communicating, sharing information, making sure that people are well informed and feel a part of the bigger picture in everything that we're doing, because it surely does not happen on its own. Last week, we had a little behind the scenes peek at how we make the sausage. We got to talk to Greg Morris and kind of see what things look like behind the scenes. Today, we're going to do something a little different. And in honor of Mother's Day, we are going to talk to two mothers that are connected with NuPath. I'll be introducing these mothers in a moment, but to think back all this week, or really for the past month or so, I've been really keenly aware of what kinds of things were happening a year ago as we began to enter into what would be more than a year long of pandemic with the COVID-19. I don't have to remind most of you, you've lived through it with us and know that the past year was challenging to be sure. But before we go there, I almost got ahead of myself. We can't forget the Back to Better basket. You could tell maybe that I've been working on that, practicing saying it. So we are going to bring Brett Reily on to the Back to Better basket. I don't think Brett's on just yet, but he's going to be there. There he is, holding up the basket so boldly and brashly and beautifully. How do you like that for alliteration? Brett, we are going to do another drawing today for another $100 Visa gift card, electronic gift card, to a staff member that has received both of their vaccines. This is our way to encourage people to take care of themselves and to be healthy and well. And I forget how many of these we've given away so far, but this is in our ongoing commitment to our employees. I sure missed you when you're gone. I had to do that myself last week, and I don't like it because I'm always afraid I'm going to spill. You make it look easy, but would you?
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Task, no.
You are skilled, though, and you make it appear so. Let's give that basket a bold, pounding roll. Oh, listen to it squeaking.
Yeah, they do spill all over, don't they?
They do.
Our winner is Joe Veneziano, Joe V.
Joe V, congratulations. Look at that, Joe. We're very happy that you have had both of your vaccines. Now, of course, on June 3rd, we'll be doing the big draw. What would the winner on that day get, Brett?
They're going to get their health insurance covered for a full year.
What?
Sure.
Full year?
Full year.
Wow.
Amazing.
NuPath care about people's health.
We do.
Oh, we sure do. We sure do. Thank you, Brett, for your
my pleasure.
Wonderful, bold, and bountiful. We're rolling. I got to find another B to fit in there. All right.
Thanks, Dan.
So we got that business done. Thank you, Brett, for coming. Brett and the Back to Better basket. That's it. Brett and the Back to Better basket. It's got a nice ring. Okay, as I started to say a moment ago, we're going to be honoring two mothers today in particular. And mothers are special creatures. You only get one in this life, and you want to honor and love them till you can't love no more while you got them. And but before that, I thought we just would think, as I was saying, I've been reflecting back on what was going on a year ago at this time, and the confusion and the sorts of things we were dealing with at the time. Clearly, we had no clue yet about a vaccine. It was, we were told it could be 18 months. But in our effort to stay connected with people, we interviewed last year 3 different mothers that were part of NuPath. And those 3 mothers were Rosalinda Diann, of course, Amy Mondesor, and I think we, with Rosalinda, we got to see her beautiful daughter, and with Amy, I think we saw a daughter and grandchild, and then Jen Morris, Greg Morris's wife, and gorgeous little girls, Libby and Ava. And I happen to remember looking that Libby's birthday is going to be this Saturday because we wished her happy birthday when we met last year, and we got a chance to see them. So happy birthday, Libby, if you're watching, and hello to those three mothers that we talked to. All right, now I'm going to introduce you to mother number one, and this is someone that most of you, I'm sure by now, have met or seen. Rosemarie Hubbard is a member of NuPath's board of directors. She's NuPath's fundraiser. We've got to make that a title, especially in her case. Vice President of Cambridge Savings Bank and mother. And I don't know if she'd probably put them in that order. Maybe mother would go first because she's quite the mother. But she's been on the board since 2019. All told, because of Rosemarie's outstanding efforts, she has raised $44,672. And of course, her son Robert gets credit for some of that. But before we go to Rosemarie and talk to her, I thought we would just take a beat and remember somebody that's very special to Rosemarie's family, and that is Sam Valente. We talked about Sam last year. Sam's birthday would be May 10th, which I believe would be this Monday. This picture was actually taken a year ago. Rosemarie shared this with me. Sam and my mother lived at Benchmark Senior Living of Woburn, so I had a chance to get to know him over the year or so plus that my mother was there with Sam before COVID hit. Sadly, on May 16th of last year, Sam was hospitalized due to a high temperature, and in getting to the hospital, they found out he had COVID-19. I think tests were still scarce at this time last year. Just 10 days later, the family was finally permitted to get into the hospital to see him. And I know Rosemarie then had to, and probably your sisters too, had to quarantine then, I think, for 2 weeks because they had entered. And then on May 27th, the very next day, Sam passed away. And it was a sad time, to be sure, because we were also worried about our parents that were in these congregate care units, and Sam had been such a vital and important part of the community that it was a devastating thing to lose him. And really, the first person that I felt I cared for and loved that had lost their life due to this personally. And one last thing before we have Rosemarie join us. Her son Robert, in addition to being the #1 winner of a #1 fundraiser for I don't know how many walks in a row, was also an artist. And we shared a couple of weeks ago his rendering of the NuPath Back to Better campaign. We thank you for that, Robert. And you keep your artistic flair still coming. And now we're going to talk to Rosemarie after that long tee up. We'll ask her to join us so that we can check in and see how she's doing and welcome her to our show. Rosemarie, let's say hello. There she is.
Hi there.
How are you?
Hi. I'm okay. How are you, Dan? Thank you for that great remembrance of my dad.
I told you just before we went live that I didn't want to take you off guard, because I don't know how you feel. It's hard to talk about, but yet you don't want to forget. You can't, you don't want to stop talking about it, to not recognize or acknowledge. Has it been tough? It must have been just a terrible year with the pandemic and everything else.
Yeah, it's been a tough one for sure. Miss him every day. Hopefully we can make things better, right? Big decision for me to get the vaccine was, watching him go through what he went through, and helped us make our decisions pretty quickly that we needed to get vaccinated. So,
Rosemarie, since you started with us, you have been, you just immediately began to stand out. And I think the way, if you want to get somebody's attention at an organization like NuPath, raise a lot of money. And I think that was maybe the first time that I had started a chance to get to know you. And I'll never forget, we were at, I think it was one of the events, and you told me the story of what it was like for Robert to graduate high school and then look for an adult program. Could you just quickly tell us a little bit of that story? Because you were worried that he was not going to be happy. You came, looked at NuPath. I think your husband was like, he's not going to go. He's not going to go.
Yeah, we got Robert in the background, so he's here with me. So hopefully hopefully he won't disrupt the conversation too much. But yeah, when he was graduating out of the system, I was very worried. I heard not great things about the system and the adult life, and I was I couldn't talk about it for months, honestly. And I never thought that he would survive. I thought it was going to be a horrible life for him, and he wasn't going to be able to do anything and go places. And very much to my surprise, Robert just did never look back. He walked out of his program at Melmac, and we walked into NuPath, and we looked at quite a few programs. Really was, James was somebody who we met with right away. We connected, and Robert he thrived. He never looked back, and he's more busy than anybody I know. He's out in the community more, or he was before COVID. So now we need to focus on getting him back out there. But
you told me that story when we were together, I think the first time you and I had a chance to, get to know one another personally. That meant so much to me. And it meant so much to me that the incredible team of which I'm a part was, executing this kind of professionalism, and that they had met a need. I mean, we weren't paying you any special attention because you were a board member, because you were a board member at the time. We were just doing what we do best. And I was just very proud and happy to hear that story. And I've told it a few times because it makes us look really good in that telling of the story. But you've and said since then, you have continued to just marshal like extraordinary resources to raise money for NuPath and have become part of the Club 50, and then we were asked to join our board, and in that capacity, you continue to encourage fundraising on behalf of the Board of Believers, which is the walk team, and we hope we'll be recoalescing in the near future. You also have a wonderful, smart, talented, I was going to say beautiful, but I shouldn't start with that because I don't want to characterize her by her physical beauty. But your daughter, Jacqueline, who had spoken at one of our NuPath annual celebrations, and then was working in D.C. I think it was the Kennedy Fellowship or something that she was a part of down there. And so you've done quite a bit to bring your offspring and your expertise and skills to the table. Why do you think have you always been a person that's been so involved in service? What was it that kind of got you to give back? Because you're a busy woman. We should also mention you've got this big job down at Cambridge Savings Bank. How is it that you decided to make time for an organization like NuPath?
well, it was really it's simple for me, right? Robert, he can't make a lot of choices for himself. He needs help. Back to the future, he's telling me, but he actually needs a lot of support. We certainly, as a family, can't do it alone. We need a lot of professional people, a lot of people who have experience, such as NuPath. We know how expensive it is to run programs, and it's just something that we wanted to participate in. We wanted to be a partner. We did the same thing for Melmac. We still are involved in Melmac. If it wasn't for them, Robert wouldn't be where he is today. So it's really a combination. And Jacqueline, just to give you a little bit of background on her, she's leaving her position at the state level, and she's going to be an attorney for the Disability Law Center starting in mid-May. So she's made a little bit of a change. Yeah. And
I can think of no better person for a job like that.
Yeah. So we've all learned along the way. There's a lot more for us to learn. We can't, again, do it alone. And it's a partnership, and that's how we look at it. And I think it's worked well for us. And the more that I can do to support NuPath or any of the programs that Robert's involved in, we're right there to do what we can. So
Does he's right there, we can tell. Does he want to say a quick hi? Does he want to get down the frame or not? No.
Rob, you want to get in the Rob? Come here for a minute. You want to see
No,
Diann? Come see Diann.
He'll be memorialized forever.
Yeah,
it's gonna go famous someday. They'll be looking at every clip. No, it's okay.
He's being lazy. He worked today,
okay.
so.
Okay. Well, you only get this one chance. You have to just jump at it if it comes your way. Rosemarie, thank you for all you've done and given. And I know this is how you are because I know you were involved with Benchmark too when your father was living there. And you and I kind of, you were on the board before I even knew that your father lived at Benchmark, before I chose that for my mother. So it was a big surprise when we discovered that. I sure enjoyed the year plus that we had there. I take a picture of your dad and send it to you if I was over there. You'd send a picture of my mom playing the piano. And it worked out really nicely. But you, just from the first time I got a chance to know you, just what incredible force you are, and you've been such a valued asset to this organization in so many capacities. And I'm just am grateful for you, and happy Mother's Day. How about that?
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate you and everybody there for what you do, because NuPath is just, top of the line, in my opinion, very innovative. And that's what we like. And we hope Robert stays there for many more years to come in his next journeys. And we're going to, just keep working together as a partner.
Wait, last thing, big plans for Sunday? What's the family going to do?
We may just cook out. We may just have a little barbecue at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, hey, if you think of it, tell your sisters I was asking for them. I used to see them too a lot. You were quite the, you were always there, doing for your father, and I mean, just an extraordinary example you set for others. I remember thinking, oh yeah, I hope I'm doing enough for my mother, because I'd see all that you were doing for him, and just love seeing him. But
well, thank you so much, Dan.
Well, we wish you well. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
She's an incredible lady. Really I've enjoyed, and she's the type that's just doesn't want to, really surprised and happy that she came on. Next is another very incredible and very special and a very extraordinary woman that we're going to talk to, and most of you probably know her because she's also very involved. And this lady's got a lot of letters after her name. That means you're really important, really smart, and really accomplished. But we have Diann Sespico, who is a registered nurse, BSN. That means she's got her bachelor's degree in nursing, master's in education, been on the board of directors. She's a huge fundraiser, vice president of nursing for Bear Mountain of Andover, mother, which maybe I should have started with her too. She has been on the board since 2015. She's been the vice chair 2 terms, 2013 through 2017, chair, 2017 to present. In fact, Diann's term would have been up at the end of 2020, but due to the pandemic and the extraordinary crisis that NuPath was facing, the board agreed unanimously to extend her term by a year to ensure sort of institutional consistency. And that's never happened before in the history of NuPath. And an amazing fundraiser, raising over $18,000, really close to $19,000. Also, Diann is a published author. She published a book about her own daughter, Nicole's Way. Nicole lives in NuPath's first autism program at Meredith Road. Maybe I shouldn't have said that live, but I apologize if I should have given that away. But it was a very special program. And really, the network of autism programs that NuPath is so proud of was really brought into play. We'll talk to her a little bit more about that when she comes on. Let's have Diann join us and let her maybe tell a little bit more of that story, because this is a truly a fascinating and interesting story. Diann Sespico, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You also hate it when all these nice things are said about you. The people that are like the most generous of spirit and giving of themselves are also the people that are don't like to have things said about them. And yet, you come on this show, what do you expect? They're going to just, love on you. Too bad. Welcome to NuPath Live. We're so happy to have you here. I said it just a moment ago with the introduction, but you were the first autism family that came to us, and your experience with the Boston Nagashi School had been very significant. Do you want to tell us quickly the story of how you got connected with Boston Nagashi? I bet there's a lot of people here that may not know, and kind of how we came to meet one another here at NuPath.
Well, I first got established there by a friend that brought her daughter there. It originated in Japan, and we went over there to see the program, and then it came to the Boston area.
Now, wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said you went over there to see the program.
Right.
You went to Japan.
Right.
And you spent some time there, did you not?
Yes, I did. And it was very difficult, to even think about going over there. And but we did.
And you took your family, did you not?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us what that meant. Like, how many in your family at the time were you
Well,
going?
first, just my husband and I went, and we had a son that was 4 years old, and we went and brought him over after, but we went there and we just went to see the program, and then eventually we thought the program was going to come to Boston in 3 months, but it ended up coming a year and a half later with all the logistics that needed to come over. So we ended up staying there for a longer period of time to get her started in the program until it was able to come to the Massachusetts area. So it was a little bit delayed, but it came to the Boston area. So we moved from Ohio to Boston for the program.
Well, Ohio to Japan to Boston, right? And that was your. I mean, to think that you, that was quite a. I mean, Frank, your husband, is amazing. Is an amazing man. I've gotten to know Frank well, and very dear to us. But I mean, to have a husband, you decided this is what you're going to do for your daughter. You want to give her the best chance you could.
All right.
And as a result, you in a way you brought that Boston Nagashi model to NuPath. Tell us how that happened.
Well, they were very, open-minded also. I ended up working at the school there for many, many years. And then when Nicole was getting close to 22 years old, I went to a different phase of nursing. And one of the things that I thought would be great is that Nicole was one of the older individuals there. She started there when she was 3. And when she was 22, she transitioned to NuPath after looking at 35 other areas.
35.
Other programs for over 22. But NuPath was the most open and creative and had ideas that we had, and felt that they would also be open-minded to some of the programs that she was used to under 22 years old. So, and that was involved with the arts and with the exercise programs. And so we thought it'd be really good if we could transition smoother. And so Higashi and NuPath were willing to help each other, and Higashi was able to give some of their services and bring some of their people to NuPath, and NuPath was willing to bring some of their staff to Higashi. And so they both learned from each other, and it's worked out really well.
Diann, you are just an incredible force, because you could be argued that, well, it doesn't have to be argued, it's just a fact that before we met you, the standard way of finding a program for a young person who was turning 22 would be to look around at all the houses you might have as an organization and say, oh, there's a vacancy here, there's a vacancy here, there's a vacancy here. Which one do you want? And so often what we would see in those days is somebody that was a young person. Maybe they were, fully, they were energetic. They needed to get exercise. They were able to give boundless energy at 22. And they might be in a home with somebody who's 45, somebody who's 55, somebody who's 70, somebody in a wheelchair, somebody that was visually impaired. It was more or less just whatever is open is what you take. And when you came, you introduced us to this concept, which has become a much more predominant way of finding residential placement for people, and that is looking at the other 4 people. Typically, we build homes around a 5-bed model, choosing people that would be, appropriate or enjoyable peer group for the person, and that took a lot of doing. We had to fight area directors, regional directors, the funding issues. It was quite a task, but you led the charge, didn't you? You did not let anything stop you.
It was very, very difficult. And I can remember Bart telling me, he was the DSS worker in the region that we lived in. And he says, "You're trying to do the impossible, Diann." He says, "I respect you and everything, but you just have too high expectations. This is not going to happen, girl." And I says, "You just come to the meetings. You just come to the meetings. We'll do what we can do. You know, just come to the meetings, you know." And so he said, "Okay, you know, okay." So, you know, I did a little bit at a time, started 3, you know, when she was like 14 or 15. And I said, "Just come to the meetings." And so he did. And, you know, every time he'd come, he'd say, you know, the same thing to me. And so, you know, I said, you know, we just need to find some place that's, you know, I don't want to be, you know, telling, you know, everything to do all her life, but I just want to have some consistency. I know she needs to move around. She can't sit in one place all day. She needs to have some kind of exercise. I've been exercising her since she was 3 years old. That sort of takes out all the energy rather than giving her all this kind of medication. You know, I don't want her to have all medication because it just doesn't, that it's just trial and error, and it doesn't last long. If she needs it when she's older, that's different, you know. And so he listened to that, and he said, okay. And then he got sort of understanding why she needed the structure and a schedule and all that stuff. And so he sort of listened every year. And finally, you know, the last year he says, "Well, okay, maybe some of that." But he says, "You're never going to get different school districts to understand all this." So then the last year we got four families that wanted to sort of live together. All the kids were graduating at the same time, but they were all from different districts. And so trying to get all those people together.
It was an incredible feat. I remember the logistics. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The logistics of trying to get that coordinated. You know, we just got a couple minutes left. That model went on. Then we replicated that at Bradley Road. And then from there, oh boy, I'm gonna, you know, I don't know if I can do this off the top of my head. We had Arlington Road. We had at one point we had Concord Road. Mill Street came online. We had Arlington. Did I already say Arlington Road? The point being is that this is something that not only did you do and do it well, you showed other families how to do it, and they took the lead. So, Diann, beyond that, you've been part of the board since maybe before 2004, since you joined the organization. You have the capacity to be part of the program committees, executive governance committees. You have given so much, and as vice chair, and then particularly as chair, you have increased the level of board fundraising enormously. I wish I had those metrics handy, but looking at how much the board has raised in comparison to the time before you, all of this while you have this demanding job, I don't know how you do it, but you maintain a positive attitude, and you've been just such a source of enthusiasm and something to really be modeled. Were you ever a fundraiser before, or was that something new in your life?
Well, you know, you can do anything when you believe in what you're doing, you know, and I believe in NuPath. I believe in the people there. They're fantastic. They're there for a reason. All the people in the management department, all the people that work with the children, they really, you know, and the young adults, they really like what they're doing. You could see it because it shows. It shows in how they take care of the children, the young adults, and how they take care of the homes, and, you know, just everything. They really have the heart. And I think, you know, when you see that, you really want to work for them. And Rosemarie, you know, she's on the board. The people on the board are good people. They want to help. They want to do things. And we want to show our appreciation. And one of the things we want to do is we will be getting a check for $500 for the staff. And we want to say thank you for all you've done for the COVID and we want you to do what you want, buy them pizzas from us,
Oh, that's so
and
nice.
say thank you. It's not much, but it might be able to give them, a piece of pizza or something as a group, and tell them that the people on the board and myself, we want to say thank you.
Diann, that is so generous, and I really touched that you thought you're so good that way. You've always been that way with the staff, trying to give back to them. We're out of time, unfortunately, because I could talk to you for another hour and a half.
That's fine. Thank you for having us.
That's just a great way to end it. You've been on NuPath Live before, that one Sunday night when we were just feeling so choked with anxiety. You've helped us this past year understand certain things through the Department of Public Health, and been a great resource to me personally as the CEO. You're my boss for just a little while longer, and I just want to thank you personally for all you've done and for being here today. Give my best to Frank, will you? And I love you.
I love you too. And you've been mothers to all of us and all of our children, and we thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day, Diann.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, 30 minutes is such a short time. We're going to end it right there. We'll see you next week. We got this, guys. Things are awesome. Happy Mother's Day to all of our wonderful, beautiful mothers. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.